Hey everyone, welcome to my kitchen. I'm Bethany, and today's recipe I'm going to be showing you how to make chicken parmesan, also known as chicken parmigiana. This was one of my childhood favorites. I loved chicken parm growing up, and I really think that you can make the best chicken parm at home. It's better than any restaurant version that I've had, so let's get right into it. All right, so the first thing that we want to start with is our breadcrumbs. And I think that it makes a huge difference in a chicken parm to use homemade breadcrumbs. It's a very simple thing to do. So what I have is just regular bread that you use for sandwiches. I toasted a little bit. I'm going to put it in a blender. We'll blend that up. A chicken parm is made up of a lot of breadcrumbs, and I just think it makes a world of difference using your own. It's just better texture than using just regular tiny store-bought breadcrumbs. And you can use whatever bread you like. And we're gonna do 1.5 cups of breadcrumbs. If you're familiar with my channel, then you might have already seen my old chicken parm video. That was filmed almost 2 years ago when we started this channel, and I just felt like it was time to give it a revamp and do a better job of it because we didn't really know what we were doing when we started this channel. All right. That should be enough. Then our next ingredient, we're going to be using the Parmesan. So this is a heaping 1/2 cup of finely grated Parmigiana Reggiano. I'm using 24-month aged Parmigiana Reggiano. This is a really nice flavor. I like to use freshly grated. I think it makes a world of difference in a chicken parm as far as flavor, and then it's going to really melt nicely into the breadcrumbs. You can also use Pecorino Romano, but if you know me, you know I'm just going to use Parmigiana Reggiano. And then we're gonna do 2 teaspoons of an Italian herb blend. You can use your own dried herbs as well. This is just a blend of thyme, oregano, basil, and rosemary. So it's equal parts rosemary, thyme, and oregano, and then just a little bit more basil. So 2 teaspoons of the herbs, and then a teaspoon of garlic powder. I'm never really an advocate for dried herbs. I always like to use fresh, but in this case, I just recommend using a higher quality dried herb blend or just using your own that you've dried yourself. Then we're gonna do a 1/4 teaspoon to a 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper. And then a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And then we'll just mix all of that together. All right, so now we're gonna set this aside and get our chicken ready. Okay, so the first thing that we wanna do is prep our chicken. However, the chicken breasts that I'm using today are kind of throwing a curveball because generally what I do is I have 3 chicken breasts for this recipe, and then I slice them in half to create cutlets. So you would have 3 chicken breasts, slice them into 6 cutlets. However, the chicken breasts that I'm using today, they're pretty thin, and if I sliced these any more, it would just be way too thin because we also have to pound them. So today I am using 6 chicken breasts, but you would just use 3 and then cut them into 6 cutlets. But it's a little different today of how I'm gonna show you this. Another thing that you can do is, I'm gonna use one that's like not so thin, is you can cut it on a bias as well. So as you can see with the chicken breast, it's thicker up here, and then as you go down, it's thinner here. So what you can do in a different type of portioning is cut it down the middle. And what you would do is you would cut it on a bias like this. And that way you have a thicker part up here and then a thinner part down here. And then it wasn't the perfect cut, but just slicing it down like that, you can portion them out and then pound them to a proper thickness. So since I don't have to slice them, we're gonna get right into pounding them, which is really important. You never wanna skip this step. So I'm gonna put out some sheets of plastic wrap. You can also do this in a plastic Ziploc bag. And we'll lay out our chicken breasts on here, or your cutlets. I also have my chicken that I cut on a bias here as well. Then we'll cover this with more plastic wrap. Then you can use a rolling pin. I have finally got myself a meat pounder or a meat tenderizer, so I'm gonna use the soft side for that, and we'll just pound these. And the purpose of this is so that we can get those chicken breasts or cutlets into an even thickness, but also we're breaking down the muscle fibers of the chicken. And this is really what's going to make this tender, not a dry or tough chicken Parmesan. And then the ones that we did on a bias over here, just pound those out. Even though these pieces were a bit smaller, they really do stretch out to a nice size. So cutting it on a bias really does work nicely. Then we'll transfer these back onto our plate. Nice and thin. And you see just, that's the size of the biased cuts. Really nice size. So that's a great option to do as well if you find that the chicken pieces, like mine, were too small to slice down the middle. So now I'm gonna disinfect this whole area and we'll get ready to bread the chicken. So for this step, I like to set up an assembly line. So I have a plate here. I'm gonna put a half a cup of flour on it. I'm just using regular all-purpose flour. I'm also gonna put a pinch of salt into the flour. It's nice to kind of season all the different layers for seasoning the chicken. Then we'll have 3 eggs in a bowl. I like to use a nice shallow dish that the chicken will fit in. Oh, that wasn't smooth. Just gonna mix that salt into the flour. Then whisk our eggs together. And eggs don't have a lot of flavor, so we're going to sprinkle just a little bit of salt into there. I like to do this especially because we didn't season the chicken. So we just want to make sure that all those steps are properly seasoned. And before we bread our chicken, I actually want to dry this off with some paper towels, just so that the breading actually sticks to the chicken. A lot of times it can have a lot of moisture, which can prevent the breading from sticking and it can then fall off. Then after we've dried our chicken, it'll first go into the flour. And this is so that the egg sticks. You'll shake that flour off, any extra, place it into our eggs. And I like to press it in there, just so that we're really getting it on the one side, flipping it. And just shake off any extra breadcrumbs. And then I have a sheet pan lined with parchment paper, and we'll repeat with the rest. A few months ago, Drew and I were in New York City, and I really wanted to try the restaurant Don Angie, and they're famous for their chicken parm and their lasagna pinwheels. And so we tried really hard to get in, and it's just nearly impossible. And I'm like, forget it. I'll just make chicken parm at home. And honestly, I haven't had better chicken parm than the one that I've made at home. It just is that good. And I think that, I don't know, my experience, it's usually very dry, not very flavorful, and the breading's not, it's not crispy. And I feel like you could just make it better at home with chicken parm. So I love this recipe for that reason. All right, so for browning our chicken, I have a cast iron pan heated up over a medium to low heat. I want the pan heated before I add the oil just to make sure that it doesn't stick. I'm gonna lower the heat just a little. And I'm gonna add about, a 1/4 cup to 1/3 cup of oil for this entire process. Then take our chicken parm. And you always wanna make sure that you're putting whatever you're putting in the oil away from you into the pan so that it's not splattering back on you. And we want that pan sizzling when the chicken goes in, but not really sizzling because we don't want the browning to burn. This is only gonna cook for about 2 to 3 minutes on each side. All right, so we have our browned chicken cutlets in a baking dish. So you can do it in a metal pan or tray or any type of baking dish. So I actually like to take slices of mozzarella first before adding the sauce and add that to the top of the chicken parm. And that way we're kind of protecting the breading from getting soggy with the sauce. This was the way that my mom actually taught me how to layer the chicken parm. And I have Hudson, our dog, waiting for the cheese tax to come. He has been all over this shoot with all the cheese I've used. Sit. And I'm using freshly sliced mozzarella cheese, but you can just totally use freshly grated. I just recommend not using the pre-shredded mozzarella. Anytime I say the word mozzarella, I get so much flack in the comments. I think from the New Yorkers that are like, it's mozzarella. I know it's mozzarella. I have a lot of relatives that say it that way, but most people are gonna say mozzarella. It's okay if you say it a different way. So now I'm gonna spoon a generous amount, but not too crazy, of marinara sauce. You can use my San Marzano tomato sauce, a homemade sauce of yours, or store-bought. I'm not against using store-bought. I grew up actually with homemade sauce always. We never did store-bought. But now there's some good options. So I like Rao's, Victoria, those are good. Store-bought sauces if you need one. Or even you could use a vodka sauce. That would be so good on this. Okay, then freshly grated Parmigiano Reggiano over top. This has a great salty flavor. The mozzarella is really creamy, mild in flavor, and this just adds a nice salty flavor for the topping. Next, we're going to bake the chicken parm in the oven at 425, and we'll bake it for 14 minutes, and then for the last minute, we'll broil it on high just to get a nice brown cheese. All right, so the chicken parm is out of the oven, and I invited Drew, who's typically behind the camera, to come and taste.
Thank you so much. This looks incredible.
Yes.
Can't wait to try it.
It does. It smells so good. You've had to endure smelling it this whole time.
Oh my gosh.
So
Stomach is rumbling.
I know we're
so hungry.
We're actually finishing this pretty late compared to when we're typically finishing filming. So, well, we can taste Hudson, our dog, is on his way.
Always.
He's been all over this shoot.
One whiff of cheese, he's right beside us.
I know. It's so good.
Wow.
So good. Seriously, chicken breast is just notorious for being dry, tough. This is like the first thing you notice is just how tender it is, how moist the chicken is, and how flavorful the breading is. And you instantly just get that taste of Parmesan, like Parmigiano Reggiano. I just think like finely grating that, putting that in the breading, you just taste that all the way through.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah, what do you think?
Crispy breadcrumbs, 100%. Chicken is really tender. And yeah, I just, all the flavors just really come together. This is everything that you want in a chicken parm, honestly. So.
Yeah, because we've had chicken parm out at restaurants, and sometimes it can be like way too fried to where it's like dry inside.
Yeah.
And I just feel like every time I've gotten chicken parm out at a restaurant, I'm just always disappointed. I've never been impressed by a restaurant chicken parm. So I haven't had Don Angie's, but I honestly feel like you don't need to go to a restaurant. Like you just need quality ingredients, know some things of what to do and how to make it. And that's really it. It's
absolutely
so good made at home.
Yeah. Yeah, it's seriously so good. It's crispy, cheesy. I love it so much. And I remember when we first started dating and beginning of our marriage too, we'd have Sunday dinners at your parents' house and we'd have everybody together eating chicken parm and it was just so good. So many good memories there.
Yeah, it was always, I was always really pumped when my mom would make it, so. Well, we have Huddy
Hudson's
whacking us
whacking
here.
us right now.
He's literally demanding we give him something, which just shows he gets a lot around here. Well, I hope you guys enjoy this one. I've already shared a video of this in the past, and I know many people have made it since then, and many readers on the website have also tried it and loved it. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this. If you haven't tried my chicken parm, it's definitely worth trying. It's a classic. It's chicken parmesan. So that's everything for today, but we wanted to thank you guys so much for all the support. I think we're at 85,000 subscribers, and we're not really counting subscriber count. We're honestly just so grateful whenever we put out a video that people are watching and commenting. And so we really wouldn't be here without those comments, without the support. So every week we're just so grateful. So thank you guys so much and hope you enjoy this. And as always, I'll catch you in the next recipe and I'll see you in the comments.